say my last two pieces. One, how the fuck did you guys pick Milk as the alliance name for the Echo rebuild? And two, I give it under 2 seasons. Peace out.
What is going on, guys? It's your boy Gunz here, and yes, this is episode 1 of the Gun Show podcast. That's what we're calling it. It's called the Gun Show, and our first guest is who I can call my friend on and off the game. He loses me my goop on ARC sometimes, but Mr. Captain WAOR5. How are you doing, my friend? Welcome to the first episode of the Gun Show, brother.
Hey, yo, we could have probably just stopped at the friend part. I will tell you, you should check out his short in which I had a disastrous jump from a building. It was definitely set up, so you guys can determine if you think he's my friend or not. But yeah, some unfortunate events. But what's up, everybody?
All right, bro. Pleasure to have you. So the main purpose of why I invited you as my number one guest for the Gun Show is mainly because I feel like with Call of Dragons, so with the purpose of this podcast, I want to essentially like just spread knowledge. And I think one of the biggest things lacking in this game is good leadership. Obviously, you have a team, you're the R5, but as you can explain to us here in a little bit, it's all about how your team is doing. So essentially, that's what the questions are going to be, guys, and just conversations that we're going to have is just with the leadership side of things. So I first met Captain in my chat, in my YouTube chat. I remember him saying like, "You should check us out. We're doing big things." I think it was that time you guys were playing against ED. So kind of starting from there, if you could just like, how long have you been in R5 for? Just kind of give us a kind of like a quick history on your, what is it, 2 years now that you've been in R5?
Yeah, just about over 2. I became R5 in season 2. My first season, I was a little bit later into the game than the current or the old school G2 pool. That's when we met, because I was telling you we were coming into the G2 pool, and that was when I made my arch nemesis Dark and all that fun drama happened. But yeah, I was an R4 in season 1, pushed T5 because the opponent had a T5, and I felt like I needed to do our part for our team. I did, so I was in leadership like basically 2 weeks into the game. And I remember telling him like, no, I don't want anything to do with leadership. Like, I just want to enjoy the game. Little did I know, season 2 came around. We had split off and created one alliance as like a Korean group. One was a EU US group, NA group. And yeah, so season 2 is where I started. So I've been R5 in basically my entire time in the game. What we're in, like, probably, I don't know, we're 10 plus seasons in now at this point. So yeah, it's been a long time.
For sure. I mean, and man, and I've been in the leadership level more at the officer side of things, so I can only imagine on the R5 side of things, especially with you, having your own business and your family, and just from our conversations, you're still very involved with all of those aspects. But as we were talking offline, guys, a key thing that I want to get out of Cap, okay, I don't want to just make this like a black and white, an hour of him telling us like we went to this alliance and then that alliance and this alliance. I want to get straight to it, Cap. All right, which we just talked about. One of the biggest things that I've noticed, and I know a WAO is currently taking some heat for it right now, quote unquote, dodging KVK1. Like, how do you find that balance of like knowing when your team is ready? Because we're not going to throw any names out there, but we constantly see those teams that are always in KVK 1 or 2 and they stay getting slammed and they stay going back. But like how do you gauge that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. For me, a lot of it's about balance and just candidly knowing your team, talking to your team, and understanding where you're at. There's ebbs and flows in this game. You'll go high power, low power. You get some big alliance disbands, like in the whole Echo EIS thing. I mean, one of the first things when we were going through one of our rebuilds, 5-6 seasons ago, we had taken in the A and CS group. I think a couple things that I would say, just points of leadership in the 10 seasons that I've learned. generally speaking, mass migrations don't work. They don't work when they come from one specific alliance or group. When you're taking in 40, 50 people from the same alliance or whatever, generally speaking, I haven't seen those be successful regardless of who you are, and it doesn't work. You can have big migrations where you bring in 20, 30, 40 people from a bunch of different alliances, and generally speaking, those have worked out fine, and I haven't really had many issues. I think it's about gradual power increases, gradual growth of the alliance, expectation settings, etc. There was a lot of drama, especially covered with that EIS Echo when they disbanded, and all expectation this, expectation that. I actually think Jinx
Ooh.
Dad put something in Discord a couple days ago, or a week or so ago, where they just said basically like people came in expecting Echo 2.0 or whatever and didn't get it or whatever the case may be. And I think that's fair because each alliance has its own identity, its own expectations, its memberships interact a certain way. Like in WoW, it's very jovial. Everyone's always laughing, joking. Everyone's getting fucking TP staffed away from the mana mine. Like it's all it's all stuff like, we're very much jokesters. We prank each other left and right. And I remember the first week that was happening and people were like, they were freaking out because they got TP staffed 12 minutes away from the well. And I mean, I thought the shit was funny, but they didn't like it. But I think getting back to like the core of the question about knowing your alliance, for me, you got to know when people the morale, the current thought process or philosophy of your members is like they're gung-ho ready to go for kvk1. Maybe there's like a vendetta starting to build, like you're trying to target a certain alliance you want to fight or whatever the case may be. But generally what I find is like you can typically go 1, 2, 3 seasons max in top tier kvks, and then you got to have 1 to 2 seasons where you're kind of just relaxing and playing in a lower seed kvk, letting people gather their res back up, the mana usage, because you will burn out your players. And what happens is when you're in those top KVKs, you wind up in fights for 70, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days of 20+ hour fights, and that's taxing. You talked before about family. I'm a family man. There's the infamous joke about me and the pumpkin patch and shit like that, which is all fun and dandy. But like, no, I'm never gonna miss my kid's soccer tournament for Row League. No, I'm not gonna do it. I always prioritize my family, my kids. So, um, to me, it's about balance, so people can enjoy a slower season, still enjoy their life, and they don't get burned out in the game, which I think unfortunately happens too often.
Yeah, appreciate it, appreciate it. So, with that being said, that's like on the member side of the things as well. So, like as far as like your leadership side of things, like how do you, let's see if you're ready for this question. How do you find the balance between being that R5 that kind of lays the law down, like no one's gonna mess with you or question what you want to do, but at the same time they're still able to be like relaxed and be themselves around you and not necessarily like be scared? Because I've noticed that that there's definitely teams where that's kind of the case. It's kind of more dictatorship wise, and I often see those teams like not do as well as other teams that are more like as a whole. Like how do you what have you done like within WAO to like help facilitate that?
I mean, I think first off, it's like your leadership team. Like, I don't do it myself. Like, I'm
Right.
surrounded. We have a lot of R4s, and I've had a lot of R4s for a long time. Like, not even the 10 slots isn't enough in WAO. We have to rotate people in and out. I try to have very specific job roles and titles, and honestly, I rely on them for a lot of that information. And anytime we're making decisions about what we want to do, or even if we have questions about what it is, like we've done surveys, we've done polls, like, hey, what's important to you, what's not important to you, and ultimately I get a lot of information from the R4s of WAO, and they're always telling me what it is. And ultimately, I think your question about not being challenged or people respecting your thing, I think it's a matter of you showing up as an
Mm.
R5. I mean, there hasn't been a season until I guess Red Arm got here, where I wasn't the first number one in merits, and I've been fighting Red Arm for number one in merits every season since. I'm in the top two or top three every single season we fight. I mean, I'm there every fight. I mean, there's also that infamous quote about how dare I not show up for a pass. I mean, that was a pass opening for 5 hours, which is fucking absurd. Like, oh yeah, I wasn't there to build some towers. I'm so sorry. Um, but at the same time, like internally, outside of the guy whoever said that was complaining, no one questioned a thing inside of WAO. Like, there's just a mutual respect between all of us, and people know that you have lives, jobs, responsibilities, businesses, kids, and I tell everyone I never want them to prioritize. I don't have unrealistic expectations, and I don't ask them to do anything that I don't do.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the biggest is there's just mutual respect.
Yeah, and I think kind of that environment that you're speaking about, how like how people kind of joke around and everything, but at the same time, like still are serious about winning. I mean, even Jake, who like came from TFS over to you guys, like he would tell us all the time. But he was like, "Bro, you got to come over here, bro. It's like chill, cap super chill." He's like, "It actually makes me want to play," and that's something that you mentioned to me in the past, like that you guys have a way of kind of bringing that like excitement back into the game. What are some of the things that you guys do for that?
Yeah, I mean, you should probably hear our discords during wartime because
I've had a
the
glimpse,
amount of
but it was like
yeah,
hour 19 when I went in.
yeah, I mean the amount of I mean it was funny too because we got actually called out for that too, like the banter and shit in like
uh,
heavy wartime. Like we'll be in like the most serious push in final zone, and I mean we are talking immense shit, making fun of, anyone and everyone. If somebody, when somebody blinks a tank and they fucking completely miss or they go left and right, that person's getting called out like mid shot call. And I'm not getting mad. I'm not telling people to shut up. Sure, there's a point in time where like I'm trying to give direction and everyone shuts up, but we got music playing, like, because I think a lot of times, like, and I get it, people take it seriously, like there's investments here, I get it, i'm,
oh
I'm
yeah,
right there with all of you, but like, I try to remind people that, guys, this is a fucking game. And the minute I'm not having fun, I'm not enjoying the people that I'm playing with, I'm not enjoying the banter, I'm not enjoying the jokes, and I'm not having fun. Why the fuck am I going to continue to play this? Like, I don't want to do that. So like I never wanted to lose that identity of what WoW is. And for some people, they want to come into a Discord and hear one to two people speak for 12 hours and scream about blinks and this and that and whatever. And we're trying to TP to, I don't know, just to jump somebody for fun, like mid war, and it's like that's what the nature of the game is. Like we should be having fun. Yeah, I like to win, but we've never prioritized winning at WAO. Like it was always about have a good fight, have fun, and enjoy the time with everybody. Because like some of those fights, when you're in those, call it final zones, and like, you sit down at your computer and it's 8 in the morning and you got a fresh cup of coffee, and at some point that turns to tequila throughout the day, and next thing you know, it's 4:30 in the morning. I mean, shit. Remember the KVK you and I were in way back when we fought WB? We got into a fucking snowball fight,
yeah.
and next thing you know, we swarmed like 12 cities. Shout out, Yami. I'll never forget. That's when we swarmed you, bro. Um, but we were sitting there, and there was like 30 of us having a snowball
Yeah,
fight. Like I'll never forget that. That shit was so much fun, and like that to me, that's what the game's about, and I never want to lose that culture.
for sure. Did I still remember that too? Like I was sitting there and because when that event came out, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't do it, so I didn't even know that artifact was a thing. So I'm sitting there and I'm just like, am I getting snowballs thrown at me? I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
crazy.
I mean, last season, TFS and WoW were swarming each other like for fun in the fucking. We
The,
were in the midst
the
of
little
like,
choke.
and people, and I remember getting like, I remember some. I won't call out their names, but they were like in alliance chat, like, "How dumb, how stupid are you? You guys are wasting troops." Amph got swarmed, and he lost like I don't know, like 1 million troops or something on the thing, and he called me in Discord to tell me about it to laugh, and like I was hysterical. And everyone's, we had again certain members that are like, "How dare you in the middle of a KVK?" And it's like, guys, you guys are taking this way too fucking serious. Like again, we don't need to do stupid stuff and put ourselves in a position to like not try to win a KVK, but like
Right.
again, like that type of banter, camaraderie, and just fun is again that's I rallied Red in Home Kingdom 2 seasons ago. And people ported to me to fill the rally, and he was offended. But we rallied Red in home realm. There's no whatever that revival troop thing is there. Like we rallied him in home realm.
Yeah, you got one of the things I noticed about you guys as well, like besides just leadership doing their part, is like you guys have a lot of like core members that bring that community side out of things. Even like the few times that I've been in a VC with like Red and
Yep.
Harley and Creel, even Jake
Yep.
was in there a few times. Like you can tell, like you guys have a lot of those players. From my experience, even like within TFS and just being in other alliances, discords and stuff, they usually have like one or two. Like you guys have several of those players.
The
Uh,
core of WoW, to be honest with you, is probably 75 people that have been with me forever that would, regardless of what happened, good, bad, ugly, like until WoW, until I said like we're hanging it up, I genuinely don't think they would leave. It's probably even closer to 100, but there's like a core 30, 40 of us that every fight, everyone's in Discord. And I mean, again, they're just looking for the next punchline. Like we even have a channel in our Discord called Blackmail. And whenever you say something and it gets taken out of
I've seen
context,
it.
these
I've seen
guys
it.
screenshot it and throw it in there, and it's every day. Every day. That's what they do, man.
Yeah, you guys also have that like Call of Dragons fantasy Call of Dragons like fantasy football kind of
Yeah, yeah,
thing
yeah. We
where
do
you guys if
fantasy
you
leagues.
lose they
Yeah,
change your
yeah.
name or something like that.
Yeah, so every week we track you draft players from the KVK, and whoever wants in, it's a $20 buy-in, and winner take all, and it's whoever gets the most merits. And then each week the top three, whoever earned the most merits, get to choose the bottom three's name for the subsequent week, which has certainly has certainly yielded some very funny names throughout the time. And everyone's a good sport, again, like, you know what I mean, like nobody nobody gives us a hard time. Everyone pays their debt, and it's cool because somebody goes off and wins a couple $100. You know what I mean? And then obviously throughout the season, there's some people with some very interesting names, including Jake. Jake lost last
Yeah,
season.
I know.
Shit,
I
I
saw him.
lost
He
last
had
season too.
like Julia's mommy or something like that. I forgot what he
Yeah,
had.
Ella's. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
there
yeah,
you
yeah,
go.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, when I hate the upside down and backwards names, like
Oh
I
yeah.
freak out about it because I can't find them when I need to search them. So it's been like a pet peeve of mine. So when I lost, they did it to me. They made me turn my name upside down and flip it backwards. And I was like, thanks, guys, appreciate that so much.
All right, all right. So on the screen right now, I have a picture you shared with me of your current team that you guys selected for the up and coming KVK.
Yep.
Which I don't know if you remember this KVK play style, but I really liked it. I think I think you 1v1 the two other teams or something like that,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then you go
correct. Yeah.
into
So the B,
Dragon.
yeah, yeah, the B goes with the A. You guys are in the same starting zone, and then you
Mm.
go in 1v1 the other ones. Yep.
Yeah, and then everyone ends up making it to Dragon Zone. I remember this like layout, and I thought it was
Yep.
like pretty cool. So like, going with your team here, can you kind of go ahead with like the thought process, kind of answer some questions of some people because I've heard some people like, oh, Dodgers and this and
Yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, look, I'll just answer it flat out right now. I 100% chose a team to not put us in KVK1, and I believe that's my responsibility. We talked about this earlier
Hmm.
in this conversation about knowing where your team's at, what do they want next season, etc. We don't want KVK1 next season. We were hardcore recruited from those that are going to be in KVK1, and I understand why they would want us there. But again, we just fought in KVK one the last 2 or 3 seasons. We've been grinding. Again, to me, it's like every 2, 3 seasons you got to go off. We also just faced BTX 3 seasons in a row, which I'm so happy that's over because that was annoying. Again, as the amount of tanks that they have is just ungodly. And I don't want to do that anymore right now. But again, when first off, anyone that says like, "Oh, I had my team prior to this," the devs putting out their rankings and they said everything was signed is full of shit because nobody expected, A's to be at
15
10,
billion
11 billion.
or
I mean,
even 10.
it's
Yeah.
crazy, crazy. So I mean that's certainly our team was set prior to the ranking, and then our entire team came out as 4 A's. So that obviously didn't work. So we talked internally about how do we split them? Do we put the two lower A's together? Do we take a lower A? I've had a great relationship with Tiny and Q and I, and We've worked together a couple times. We've always, again, you just get a good flow. Things work well, especially when you're planning and talking. So we certainly wanted to continue to work with them. And then as we started to think strategically about how do you pick the right team for the KVK, knowing we wanted to be in a lower KVK, we decided to take the lower A. So because our A's, or I should say that our original four ranged anywhere from 10 and 11 billion all the way up to 17. We went with the lower A. And then when we went for the B's, obviously on the B side, candidly, from my perspective, I didn't know a lot of them. I knew a couple of
Right.
them, but a lot of them were super low power, and I'm not overly familiar. I was able to pick up NM with Genji, and I do know these guys back from the TG days. For those of you who remember TG, which was another Korean alliance we worked with and fought with a couple of times back in the day. So I knew those guys. So and he had a good relationship with Gentleman too, one of our R4s. Everyone knows Jen. Jen's a stud in this game. So we chatted with him. So that was kind of an easy pickup. And then for the final B, I basically used the list and we started chatting with a bunch of them. We picked up Sevenson. I chatted with their R5. We went through all their stats. Again, none of these stats are like off the charts, but one of the things that was key for us is we wanted to make sure that NM would go with I in zone one, because just we knew NM, we knew those guys and what they could do. Sevenson was a little bit more of an unknown to us, so we needed to, see how that was going to go. But we'll take them with us. So we definitely targeted a lower power on that second B after we had secured NM. But yeah, I mean, we're definitely lower. You can call it dodge, you can call it whatever the hell you want. For me, it was about strategically setting up my team for the season that I know we needed, and a little bit of a lighter KVK season, a little bit again, easier opponents, etc. Sure. I mean, it's not like we're going to walk into a bunch of T4s and I'm not going to go put up 300 mil merits, and people can judge me all I want. I don't give a shit. I would challenge any of them, because what I don't see happen in this game is longevity, stability, and sustainability of any alliance, really, outside of maybe there's one or two, etc. But again, I would challenge many to say, like, show me how long you guys have lasted at a top tier like we have. Wow, and been able to do what we've done. So I don't think there's many.
Yeah, and also being able to control just like volatility, right? Because there's a lot of teams, not even one team specific that have been around, but it's always so like hit or miss. It's always like heavy recruiting back to heavy down or whatever, so it's like there's a lot of volatility right now in the game, especially with Echo and EIS kind of disbanding. All of those players are kind of just wandering the shadow realm of Call of Dragons, trying to find that itch again. And not to go down that rabbit hole, because that'd be a whole nother episode to talk about, but just to touch on it real quick, like, dude, Echo 18 19 billion power when they first created, of the most active members from TFS, went up against BDO, beat them, and then from there they were number one for demand. So they were able to pick and choose, and they never grew like crazy big. I think their next blow up was like 6 billion, and it was all like from different places. It wasn't just from one area. It's kind of that strategy that you're talking about, just like focusing on quality and not just big groups from all over the place. So it's like ultimate, like, their final product of Echo is just so many like degen players, and then from the leadership down. So it's like it's gonna take a long time for teams to get there again. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're trying to compare Echo, who had a very unique situation, because as you know, it's not all about leadership, bro. Sometimes you kind of get lucky with how certain people move around the game and all that. So I think that definitely plays a factor into it as well.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is, like, when we talked about expectations before too, like, you get a lot of like backseat drivers and Monday morning quarterbacks and people that all of a sudden have, 47 opinions every day. And it's like, if you truly have all these opinions, and I tell them all the time, then step the fuck up, take a war lead position, get yourself in there, and 99.9% of the time they want to say, "Oh, I don't have the time," or "I don't want to do this."
Yep.
And then my response is, pretty simple. It's like, "Well, then cool, shut the fuck up, enjoy the ride. If not, there's the door, get the fuck out." I mean, I literally put that in my post at the end of the season
I
last
remember
season.
that.
Like, that doesn't affect me, and it's not from, I mean, it's not from a place of arrogance. It's not, but it's like I try to tell the members all the time, the amount of time, energy, and effort that myself and R4s put into running the alliance, the last thing I want to sit is every day is come in and hear again 97 other different opinions go left. Why didn't you go right? Why didn't you build this? You should just shut the fuck up. If you want to do it, great, step up, here's a seat, knock yourself the fuck out. But nobody wants to do it. So that's that mutual respect where we've come to, is like, are we going to be perfect? No. Did we fuck up a bastion, a tower? There's an infamous line that they use all the fucking time in WoW called the capsident, and they say, "Oh, another capsident," because like, yes, I pulled the
someone
fucking
commented someone commented that on your video. I'm
Yeah,
kidding. I
yeah,
think it
yeah,
was
yeah. So,
Creel.
nah, yeah. So that's a thing, because like, yeah, I pulled. It's the infamous where it all happened was a Bastion fight with RFF, and Red Arm put a Bastion that I was like, hey, I don't think we should put it. He put it anyway. Okay, fine. We were in the trenches. It was at 98% built, and I fucking pulled the garrison out, yeeting calves at them, trying to like swarm it, and then we lost the Bastion, and then it became this infamous capsident. But like, even when like that happened, we were hysterical in Discord, where you think like you'd have this utter like, everyone's all pissed off, and all, it's like, oh my god, I can't believe I just fucking did that. And again, those mistakes happen, but when you have again the
Accident.
culture and the core members, you get over it real quick, and you're like, well, all right, that didn't work out, let's pick something else here.
Yeah, I think.
So I don't know, man.
Yeah, I think even like it's also just amazing like how it all plays out, right? Of how like those core members, like there's a book that I read called 10,000 Hours, and it goes a lot into like just chance, right? Because think about your core group, that you could have not ended up with that core group. That core group could have
Oh
been
hell yeah.
elsewhere. You know what I mean? So it's like all these
Yeah.
factors that kind of come into place where it's like, even for some of you R5s that probably ended up clicking on this, aspiring to be in the top KVKs, like, you also can't be too hard on yourself, because you can be damn near a perfect R5 or doing the best things that you can, and it still doesn't play out. But ultimately, the thing that lies is just your consistency and leading by example more than anything, because that's something that Cap touched on. Like how he was number one merits in his alliance for a while, and then Red Arm came around, and you said like who was the other one? Gentleman.
Oh, gentlemen. Yeah,
Yeah,
gentlemen's always up there.
that guy's a monster. So it's like you get these like core group of players, especially the like at that competitive level, you start breeding a warrior culture amongst each other, where it's like, even if you might have like not even wanted to sign on, for example, like me and Fluffy last season, like he pushed me, like every time I would see him and also Nikki pushing hard, I'm like damn, these guys are going ham. So it like kind of like pushes me to like go more. I knew I wasn't gonna catch up to Fluffy, because he's the kind of guy to sit in a bush for an hour and look at the screen and wait for you to come out and try to capture your pets. Like, I don't have the patience for that. I don't.
Yeah,
but
no, I get it.
but yeah, I mean, it's good to have kind of that core group, and also being able to put your foot down, how you said, with the messages of like, dude, some of you guys are just not cut out to be here. Like you said, some teams have a good balance of being competitive, but at the same time, seeing that it's a game, and not just taking it like too serious. I think for me, I kind of fall a little bit in the middle there between, but like you said, there's times to like lock in.
Yeah, there's
So
times where the culture and the vibe is high, and you're coming off maybe some a big win, you got some good migration, you got a lot of like a lot of momentum at the time, and you're like, man, this feels really good, and like you're like, oh, everything's great, and then you're like, hey, you guys want to go, again, like it was like, oh, let's go fight EIS, or let's go fight Echo, and like, I mean, our first time when we were pushing in high 20s is when we got that 1v1 versus Echo, and like we knew we were gonna lose, but man, we went all out
I
in that
remember
zone.
that. I remember that. I was watching a lot of
We
that.
fought our asses off. Again, 2 seasons after that, against when we fought RFF 1v1. I mean, I came out of zone 1 with shit last season with BTX. I killed 3.2 million infantry in zone 2. Um, So like we go hard all day, every day, regardless of the KVK. But again, you have to know when the time is to pull back, have a little bit of a lighter season, give everyone a little bit of a breather. Those are the KVKs that you can end in a zone in a day or two and then be done, and people can, go jump off buildings and arc raiders, get shocked by electricity, and make shorts of, like, because people want to do other shit too, and I'm aware of that, and resources and money and again, decos has been a big thing where people are trying to invest in there, so they pull back on pets or mana or whatever the case may be, and then it is what it is.
All right. Now, leading in kind of on the back end of our podcast here, can
Yeah.
you share in your opinion what you think your number one mistake as an R5 has been, like that you think about you might think about to this day, like damn, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have taken in the large groups in migration from a
Hmm.
single alliance. But you know what? I guess now that I say that out loud, I kind of regret saying that, I guess, because like I'll go with the ANCS group. Like that didn't necessarily work out for us, but there's like 4 or 5 key players that are in WAL right now, key contributors. One's a war lead, one's a main inf lead for us that came from
Oh,
that group
ancients.
that like yeah, yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. What Alibaba's team and them. And
Yeah.
like while that didn't work out, it was never hostile, but like man, we got some really core members from there that were awesome for the alliance. Um, it creates a little bit of hostility or anxiety, like especially even like last season, which is more relevant now with the when the Echo EIS disbanded. But like, we still have, again, we picked up probably, I don't know, 8 to 10 people from that whole thing that are still here that are like, man, this has been one of the greatest groups ever. I mean, we got one guy that left to go back to Echo for Row League, and I joke with him all the time. I'm like, "Hey, bro, let me see that skin," and like he's my homie. He's a great guy, and so again, it depends. I guess it's a mistake, I think, for migration, and I wouldn't want to do that again. But at the same time, there was some benefits to that. I'm trying to think if there's another large mistake. No, I think that's probably it. It's about control of migration and knowing, and probably setting better expectations from that on the front end with the core members and saying, hey, just so you know, 30 of these people probably won't be here next season, and that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with like the whole like setting the expectations thing, because that's something that I was kind of fighting for in TFS for the longest time. I would always say like, dude, our expectations are too low. They're too low. They're too low. And ultimately, it showed every time. Every time we got up to KVK1, people would be like, "What's going on with TFS?" It's like, well, we weren't tough enough on those players that were kind of dragging ass in the back end. So as soon as you gain all this power and you get to KVK1, now you're dragging, because it's like one that those expectations kind of weren't set.
Yep. Yep.
Were Which kind of leads me to my other thing, which not sure how you think about it, but it's like I don't think alliances should set minimums. It should all be based on how the alliance is doing as a whole, because there's so many alliances that are like, oh, 10% of your power or
Yep.
12 million merits. It's like, bro, that's how you create a like minimalistic culture. It's like, oh, I got my minimal, I'm done, no longer doing
Yeah.
this or
Yeah. Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I agree. I partially agree because we get asked a lot of that in recruitment, like,
Right.
"Hey, what are your expectations?" So typically, like at WoW, we do 15% merit and we do 0.4% deads. So that's like 400,000 if you were 100 million power player, just to give you a basis of what it is. And I don't think that that's crazy. We do kill a ton of troops in WoW. Like our Bastion fights are always
You guys
wild and
rally
absurd.
everything too, though.
Everything, anything, it doesn't matter. Shit, we burned Joker 2 seasons ago. That hurt. But 500, 600 mil power, no problem. We'll burn that shit. Um, so like, and we enjoy that. Like a lot of our guys, like we find that a lot of fun. Like we really enjoy rallying and doing all that. So again, we'll do it just for science too. Like we send some really wild rallies out there too. Um, but I think I lost my train of thought. Shit. What was the question? I just totally went blank.
we were talking about like like the biggest mistake, and oh no, you were saying that you agree and partially disagree as far as like
Oh,
expectations.
right, on the recruitment side. Sorry.
Yeah.
So people want to know what the expectations are. So we tell them we have a Power BI dashboard where it's all tracked in real time, and so people can log in and see it. But we do adjust the KVK expectations typically after the first zone fight. We go in there and we say, okay, we saw this happen. We're increasing the deads, decreasing the deads, increasing merits, decreasing merits. Um, so we keep that broadly known. And I mean, generally speaking, we know who's participating. We do a mid-season review. We go out there, we tell them like, hey, you kind of sucked in zone two. Like, what's going on? Or, or hey, like you kicked ass. Like again, it was a joke when after I killed I only had 5.5 million inf last season, and when I killed 3.2, I came out and I was like, fuck guys, I can't even 5 bomb 3 times, and I'm dead. And so Red Arm, I remember I rallied some BTX guy, and Red Arm was screaming at me in Alliance chat, like, "Stop! Save your infantry! You're not allowed to rally anymore." And I was like, "Okay, okay, okay." But again, like we have to have expectations. We tell them it's varied depending on the KVK, but people want to know. And I would tell you, like the comment you made earlier, where when people are around you and everyone's filling bastions and everyone's doing their thing, you'd be surprised. Like, it's a common theme inside of WoW where people are complaining in Alliance chat that they couldn't join the rally. They can't get in the bastion. They can't do this because we don't have people who don't contribute.
That's good. I mean, and I'm sure you get rid of those people that don't do that, because I mean,
Sure.
even when I was in charge of recruitment, uh, I had some people from WAO message me that didn't make your cut, and I'm just like, well, we don't want you either, respectfully. Like, so yeah, yeah. I mean, and some of those players, like, they're all stars in other kingdoms, 17, 18, 19 million merits, like,
Yep. Get the
but
fuck out. Nope. No,
yeah,
thank you.
not in
You
KVK
can't be
one.
sitting there with 210 mil power and give me, you know, 16 million merits or even 20 million merits, and I'm happy because I'm not. I'm like, you didn't do anything. You come out of the KVK at 200 mil power with, again, 10% merits and you got 500k deads. You didn't even try. There's no chance with the amount of fights we had. So
They
just get the
signed on
fuck
a
out.
few times, did like
Yeah, nah, hell no.
the
I ain't got time
inactive
for that. Nah.
Kraken.
Shit, I could show you 20, or not 20, it's probably more. I could probably show you 10 messages where I cut people last season that had 50 mil merits. I'm like, get out because you just don't fit. Nope.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
All right. On the flip side of that, what would you say, if, and it's going to be a little bit of a difficult kind of question, because I'm sure it's a combination of things, but what would you say is like the number one thing that separates WAO from other alliances currently within the top kingdoms?
My entire leadership team and what the priorities are for WoW. I don't think many alliances out there prioritize, I would say, at the caliber of alliance that we are. Again, I know there's a lot of lower power kingdoms that do this and stuff, but the way that we prioritize having fun as a team, uh, and the culture inside of WoW, we don't prioritize the win. And my leadership team they're the best people ever. Not only do we get along well, there's plenty of banter, but there's never bickering, even with differences of opinions. Again, the bickering that happens was we've never had more bickering than we had last season. That's 100% true, but that we know why that happened. Again, differences of opinions. However, uh my leadership team is the best, absolute best in the game. From what they do, their contributions, their commitment, and honestly, their loyalty to me. Even the way that Top Dog and Ammon run the road team, to the way we joke around. Red has been my right hand for a long time. Gentleman and me go way back when we fought back in like SOS 1, and me and him bonded. And that guy will do anything and everything. Red Arm gets a bad rep constantly in for whatever. And
He's
yes, he's an angry
crazy, bro.
German. He's
He's
a psychopath.
crazy.
Right, but I'll give you an example from last season. Here's a side that people don't understand about Red Arm. We had a free to play player who had an account, whatever, and the account was pretty good, and he was upset because like we were basically in a DPS fight for 2 or 3 days, and it was a cav account, and he didn't have a lot of mages, and the pet sucked, and he was like, "Oh, I don't have Ming awakened yet." And Red Arm, like, unmutes himself in Discord, and he's like, "What the fuck did you just say? Like, you don't have Ming awakened?" And he's like, "No, Red Arm." He's like, I don't buy it." He's like, "Jesus Christ!" And he says, "Message me your login." Literally goes in, maxes all 3 or 4 heroes, and 2 stars his entire pet, and says, "Get back out there, man." Like, you know what I mean, like, and stuff like that, because this player is a very active player, constantly contributes. He obviously doesn't have the financial means to do some of that stuff, which is fine, but, like, that's why I talk about Red Arm. Like, you get a bad rep, and he's sitting over here doing whatever he can to support a very active member and a contributor to WoW. I mean, Red Arm has gemmed alliance tech, like, when we don't have Fog of War or something. He's gone into farms and donated hundreds of thousands of gems on a farm just so we could, take a spire. Shit like that. Ruby's like HR. Ella does so much stuff inside of the Alliance. Creel. I mean, there's so land with the building. Easy's been my homie forever. I mean, these guys do so much to support. And I'm sure I'm missing someone, and I'll get yelled at. But I mean, they really are. Amp stepped up in a big way. War leading last season. They're phenomenal, dude. They're absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I can tell. I mean, even when me and you are playing other games, which I mean, at this point, we've played a bunch of different games at this point.
Oh yeah.
Like, and you even tell me like, oh, hold on, they're telling me about something else. So it really does sound like, and I think that's so key because when you look at leaders, like Sod and Dark, from what I hear, these guys were doing everything, bro, everything. I'm sure they had a team, but it sounds like they were just and clearly they just like drowned themselves in it, bro. So it's
I
like,
mean, yeah, it is. It's taxing. And when I say, like, I don't do a lot of the stuff, my main priorities that I work on are like war strategy, war leading, making sure that we have coverage and trying to make sure that we can get as much coverage as we possibly can. And obviously, I do all the Diplo, and then I'm the face of WoW, right? So everyone knows who Cap is, and like that's and the allure of trying to work with WoW. So like that's the role that I play. Like I've never scheduled a fucking event, a behemoth. I don't do any of that. Like the team does all that shit. They literally control everything and everything. Like when we need announcements and stuff, I go into our chat and I'm like, hey, we got to communicate A, B, C, D. Next thing I know, I've got this beautiful fucking Discord post and it's got all these cool fonts and colors and reminders. They manage the calendar in the game. But again, everyone has their role. They like what they do. Then whatever role they're doing, I've asked them. That's another thing. Like it's the same thing in business, aces and places, and you put these people doing what they want to do, what they're good at,
yeah,
and ultimately everyone feels supported. Like Ro, I know you love Ro. I fucking hate Ro. Like
I
I
love,
can't
bro.
stand Ro.
Well,
But
not anymore, but yeah.
well, I know, but like it became important for the game. It became this. So I went on a path to try and find some people to lead it. I found 2 guys. They're doing a great job. We've transformed our entire row team. I believe we're a top contender next season. There's no doubt about it. We've been whooping 30 NA's ass week over week over week. I want to fight somebody else candidly because we keep getting the same team. But like we are really good in row right now. But I literally I oversleep half the time. Red calls me, wakes me up. I get there for row, and I just show up, and I have to garrison a building, and that's it. And these guys just run it. So I mean, it's about putting people around me so that we can be successful.
Yeah, would you say like your own like personal life has helped you like within like just owning a business in general, like just being able to put those people in the right places and all that?
Absolutely. I mean, leadership is leadership. It doesn't matter if it's in a
Yeah.
game, in a business, and whatever. I mean, you learn a lot of those core principles, and you have your style, right? And every leader has their own style. I've never been a dictator leader. I'm a consensus leader. I try to be engaging with anyone on the team and make sure I try to take everybody's opinion, but at the same time, I need to be decisive and know that not everyone's going to like it, but at least I try to explain the whys. I tell everyone why we did something or the thought process or the philosophy and why we did what we did, and you hope that people can respect that and want to get behind it. And if they don't, then candidly they don't belong in your business or in your alliance. It's kind of the same. It's the same thing. It's just different. I have thousands of employees. I have, and it's all the same thing regardless if it's in real life or in the game.
For sure. All right. Another question for you. So for new alliances up and coming, because there's a lot of believe it or not, there's a lot of I shouldn't say there's a lot. There's several like projects and up and coming kingdoms that are looking because there's always a hungrier wolf at the bottom. You know what I mean? Like, what kind of advice would you give them to get to that KVK 1, 2, or 3 in the year 2026? Because like as I'm sure you can admit, it's going to be a
Yep.
lot harder to climb your way up as these teams are starting to become more and more established. If you were in that position again that you were with when you guys first started off, what would you do to kind of like stand out?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think first and foremost, exposure and reputation is everything. Like, you got to get your name out there. Be vocal in COD Discord, whatever. Like, get people to know who you are and who your alliance is. Because I mean that was basically part of my strategy when WoW was coming up, and I was trying to figure out what were we gonna do, and like Dark wound up being the guy. We wound up bantering. I made friends with you, whatever. You obviously were. I've told you this many times. You were fundamental into WoW's growth because we had your stream exposure. You were great for the community. People started to learn who we were. So I'd say first and foremost, your branding, if you will, for a little marketing term for you.
Yeah.
Get yourself out there, know who you are. And I would tell them, like, if you're the R5 that says, like, oh, I'm not the fighter, I'm the planner, and you're going to put up 15 mil merits a season, I'm telling you right now, you're never going to be in that fucking KVK. You have to be a fucking elite fighter. If you're not an elite fighter, I'm telling you, you're never going to get there. You have to lead by example. You have to be showing people that it can be done or what you're willing to do. And then I would just say that the other piece is to make sure that you breed a culture that is going to have longevity and sustainability, and surround yourself with some really really solid people. The most successful alliances in the game have very minimal leadership turnover, and that's not at the R5 level, that's at the R4 level. Sure, you can have people step in, step out, but like, again, I find it great that I got my R4s like bickering and bantering, telling them to leave alliance so that one of them can get into the R4 spots because I have so many. But that support system is what's made us successful. That is by far my number one thing on our success has been predicated because of my entire leadership team. It's not me, it's because of everything that they've done to support it.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
definitely.
100%.
Yeah, well said, well said. All right. Now let's see. It might be one of my last questions. We'll see. Um, the question I have for you is given the game's health currently, what is something that you feel like if you were put at that table, like bam, you're the CEO now, because the devs, they do watch my videos. I don't know if they're gonna make it to minute 50 here, but who knows, maybe I make this the caption right in the beginning. If you had to change Call of Dragons like right now, something that you feel like needs desperate change, what would it be?
Yeah, my biggest advice to the devs would be listen. Even in the King's chat, they've had these dev roundtables, and I understand they talk about a lot of things about balance and stuff, but ultimately, it's just like any business. It doesn't matter what any executive, it doesn't matter what any leadership member, none of that matters. It only matters what the consumer is saying. They are the core of your business. No consumer, no guest, no fucking business. And I think a lot of times, especially in real life, etc., executives, developers, CEOs, whatever, lose sight of what that is. And if you listen to the community, the two biggest issues that they keep talking about is bastions and decos. Everyone's pissed about how all of that affected and impacted the game. And we have honestly had probably the most amount of turnover, meaning players quitting, players leaving, big alliances disbanding, because it has become unsustainable at the top. And then we've talked a lot about that stuff from the alliance, the management, the time commitment, and then the monetary investments. A lot of people, especially at the top, have invested tons of capital into these accounts, and then it just keeps compounding. We're not saying don't keep developing stuff, don't keep doing stuff, but when 80% of the community is telling you there's a problem and you're not actually addressing it, the game is going to eventually fail, fall, and it won't be what it was. So I would just tell them utilize the people, especially in the King's chat and these roundtables, and actually implement the things. The other last piece of feedback that I gave them on the last round was stop trying to solve everything in one motion or in
Mm.
one update. Pick one or two really fundamental problems and actually solve it. Don't fucking band-aid it. Don't patch it. Don't do whatever. Solve the problem and then move on to the next one. They're trying to do too much and we're getting nowhere. Would
Yeah,
be my
I could
advice.
definitely agree. I could definitely agree with that, and I feel like kind of just the gaming industry as a whole, which would be a whole nother episode. That's what it is. They've lost complete sight of just kind of like the consumer and what the people are saying. Skill based matchmaking, the cheater problem, like all this stuff, and it's just like it all comes back down to that core fundamental of how you said of just like listening to the people, because ultimately the people are your game. So yeah, I mean, very,
Right.
very,
And then
very well
they have
said.
expectations. They're trying to grow revenue. They're trying to do things. But like, again, they're not looking, in my opinion, at their actual business. Where do you see like some of the highest spending, right? Is in stuff that are like decor. Like think
Yeah,
about city skins, greatest heights. I understand you get buffs, but imagine like you could have like plated armor on the characters and like you could buy different colors, different themes. They started with some of that where we get like the marching whatever, like when you
yeah.
could do the flame thing or the teleport, but like
People
you've
went
given
ham
us.
on those events too.
I know, bro, but like
Even people
you
that
gave
don't
us.
spend.
Right, then the next one comes out and it looks like fairy dust or whatever, and it's like when they created the first HP imp skin. It's like, so you've got the toughest, hardest troop in the game, and you made it a fucking butterfly. I don't, I what?
It's a
Who?
tough
I don't understand.
butterfly, bro.
It's the greatest imp skin in the game, and it's a goddamn butterfly. Like I'm like, what? So again, like for me, like introduce more of that stuff if you're trying to get from a revenue perspective. That doesn't necessarily impact the game. Again, you could get similar revenues to decos if you just gave us a ton of cosmetics. You can't launch two themed city teleports in a year. Like Jesus Christ, give us more. Give me something. Give us variation. Like allow there to be 10 different teleport animations so we can actually have some, I don't know, some uniqueness in the game. It's not like, oh, every time somebody ports in now you're going to see some gold shit or a flame. Like introduce more of that stuff and then fix the core problems. Like the bastions have been an issue since inception. Like they have
Yeah.
caused issues. It's ruined a big piece of the game. I understand bastions, I get them, but like we told them in the King chat, well then fine, just give each kingdom one bastion then in KVK. That's going to change the entire dynamic. Sure, you can use it when you want to, but you can't block every choke, every pass. Like remember the days of actually having to rally a pass and fighting that pass for 6-7 hours. Then you finally break through. Then you're field fighting for the next 3 days. Like that shit was fun. I don't want to just rally a bastion for 8 hours, watch
Every
it
choke.
burn. Oh God, enough.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
And uh then you lose online presence. Like people get tired of doing
Yep.
it. They're like, ah, forget it. I don't want to
Yeah.
do this anymore.
Every time a bashing goes down, you immediately notice them from both ends.
30% of your
Yep.
online
Yep.
gone. It's clear. Nobody wants to do it. And they'll check back in 30 minutes and they'll fill some bastions, then they leave again because it's not as fun. You're not constantly engaging new troops. You're not flopping from mages to archers, and then you're yeeting inf, and then you're doing a cav ball, and those fights are fun. I mean, some Bastion fights are fun, but not the whole season.
Yeah, I don't know if they like tweak bitter end a little bit or not, or maybe just more people are running it because you can get that's probably what it is. I think maybe more people are just running it because you could just buy a lot of your troops at the end. But dude, with just bitter end alone, you end up with millions of deads, 2 to 3
Oh yeah,
million
yeah.
with
I
just
don't I
bitter
don't run
end.
bitter end. I can't because
Yeah,
of the amount of troops that I kill with rallies and bastions. If I put on bitter end, I would literally get to final zone and at full heal, I'd be 100 million power and I'd be
yeah,
useless.
yep.
Can't do it. I'd rather not take the attack buff. So yeah, I mean that's what I would tell them. My biggest advice to the devs is actually listen to your consumer, which are your players, and actually fix the problem. Stop thinking you at your boardroom and at your round table that you have the answers because you don't.
That's fair. Yeah. All right. Well, now the final one. This one's for sure the final one. Any last message to the community as a whole? What do you want the kind
Yeah, I
of
would
nugget you
say,
want to leave the community with?
yeah, I guess my final parting way is like, look, this community by and large, is a great community. I think we have a really cool game. I think we make the game. We should do our best to continue to support the game and try to come with constructive criticism back to the developers as a whole. For the trolls and the haters, I love it. Thank you so much. I truly don't give a shit what you think, and it's never gonna bother me. But I do enjoy the banter. And there's also been a lot of people that have supported us. In WoW and our leadership team, and I'm grateful you're one of those guys, Guns, and I'm always been super appreciative of your support of WoW, and to all the friends and allies that we've played with. I've enjoyed it, and I'll just say my last two pieces. One, how the fuck did you guys pick Milk as the alliance name for the Echo rebuild? And two, I give it under 2 seasons. Peace out.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, guys, with that being said, that's gonna close up our first episode of the Gun Show, episode 1 here with Captain WAOR5. Captain, appreciate you. It's been a pleasure having you as our first guest, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
All right, guys. With that being said, it's your boy Guns and Cap. We're off to play Arc Raiders probably. Peace out.